Hello everyone, my name is Leslie. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I want you guys to sit back and listen to what I have to tell you. Think of a time where you're driving home from school or work after a long day, just listening to music, enjoying yourself, whatever song is your favorite. You're just enjoying yourself. Now you cross the light, which is green, and as you're crossing, someone rams into you with speed. You did nothing wrong, and now you're in an accident. You check the driver, and come to find out they were intoxicated. This is one of the many stories of drunk driving. I'm here to tell you about why drunk driving is an epidemic, how it affects the society, and what we can do to solve this. Drinking is an issue all over the world, and it has affected so many lives. According to my survey, when I asked if you drink alcohol, 75% of the class said they do drink. When asked if you guys ever been involved in an accident due to drinking, 100% of you guys said no. I also asked if you have driven right after having 1 or 2 drinks. 25% of the class said yes, and 75% said no. Now, when it came to the question of how important it is to not drink and drive, I am glad to see that everyone agrees that it is extremely important to not drink and drive. I too have had experience with drunk driving. One of my family members was drinking, got into an accident due to drinking too much. And I also have a close friend that has so many DUIs and he may never be able to drive again. But in my friend's case, it was as simple as just not being able to have a designated driver, going out with friends and not having someone responsible to drive. Now he may never be able to drive again. Drunk driving, or driving with a high blood alcohol content or concentration, may place you and others in an increased risk of highway injuries, car accidents, and vehicular deaths. Let's begin by informing you guys why drinking is an epidemic. Over the past century, drunk driving has continued to be a problem. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration states that every day about 28 people in the United States die in a drunk driving crash. That's 1 person every 52 minutes. Then, in 2016, more than 1.1 million drivers received DUIs, according to the Rehab Spot owned, operated by Recovery Worldwide LLC. In fact, on an average, over the 10-year period from 2010 to 2019, more than 10,000 people died every year in a drunk driving crash. These deaths could all have been prevented. These statistics that I've mentioned are overwhelming, and they only serve to prove that drunk driving is a problem. When it comes to the current laws of drunk driving in the state of Pennsylvania, according to the Pennsylvania government website, Pennsylvania has 3 levels of DUI. General impairment, which is 0.8% to 0.9%. There's high BAC, which is 0.10 to 0.15%. And then there's the highest BAC, which is 0.16% or higher. In this video here, it's only going to take a few seconds, just discusses
drunk driving since the early 2000s has died. Jackie Savarito died after a battle with cancer. According to our partners at the Austin American-Statesman, she was 40 years old at the time. In 1999, Savarito was riding from a birthday party in Austin when a drunk driver hit the car she was in. It caught fire. She did survive, but had third-degree burns over 60% of her body. She became the face of a TxStop campaign and was a motivational speaker. A Texas woman who has helped...
So that just shows you guys that, as you guys can see, She was just coming home from a party with friends, and she was involved in an accident. Later, she did become a part of this campaign that helped spread the word, do not drink and drive. Now, when it comes to how it affects our society, it has affected it in so many ways. Just the consequences of drunken driving and how it causes so many accidents, how it can leave someone paralyzed, someone could have a brain damage, or could even lead to death. That's one thing about PowerPoint's getting that out of there. This slide just talks about the history of driving. The first person to ever drink was from UK. He was just driving. He ended up smashing into a building. Then a few years later, or a few months later, the first ever person to get drunk and drive was in New York. And that is some of the history of driving. This here is the DUI penalty chart that I mentioned before. According to the article, Drunk Driving from Gale Opposing Viewpoints Online 2021, alcohol-involved crashes carry a financial burden of $52 billion. This estimates accounts for medical expenses, legal expenses, court costs, property damage, insurance administration, loss of employee productivity, and more. The NHTSA reports that approximately 84% of these costs, which is $44 billion, are incurred from crashes involving drivers with high alcohol content. Other costs that can happen from drunken driving is simple things as insurance premiums being increased, losing your job. Also, the rehabilitation cost as well is high. Another thing about drunk driving that it can cause you guys to have emotional and physically. It can cause you to be emotionally and physically. Which leads me. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm just off. I don't know if it's the coffee, and I didn't eat yet. So. Which leads me to some of the solutions are set in place. Some solutions that are set in place for drunk driving. Penalties, which may lead to fines, incarcerations, and loss of driving privileges. We must double down on preventing this violent crime with strong laws that will help law enforcement to pin down the drivers. And we'll also make sure that we just take personal responsibility to speak up to our friends and family. Some offenders may be required to install special equipment to their car, which is called the interlock device. Interlock devices is it's a device that you put on the vehicle. In order for you to drive, you have to blow into it. And if it's too high, it will not start. If it's normal, then your ignition will start. According to Gale Signage Company, Drunk Driving article explains that beyond the interlock programs, we need to continue to do harsh legal penalties, and we also need to work on prevention. Prevention could be as simple as having campaigns, sobriety tests, and also providing student education. When it comes to the most effective ways to prevent alcohol impaired driving, the NHTSA states that sobriety check and ignition interlock programs rank to be the most effective in stopping people from drinking and driving. I agree that more sobriety checklists are needed and harsher fines should be in place. There's also simple things as ride shares, as even having Lyft or taking an Uber that could help. I just feel that it could be as simple as just telling your friends, do not drink and drive, do have a driver, and ask them how they're getting home safe. I have concluded my research. To conclude my research, it comes down to this. If you drive intoxicated or drunk, you are placing yourself in danger. Your life is more important than just losing it to just having one drink. My studies have proven that so many lives have been taken due to drunk driving. People have died, people have been left handicapped, and lives have been destroyed. You can save a life by just telling someone, once again, telling them do not drink and drive, and educating them on the importance of not drinking and driving. I hope I was able to convince you guys of the importance of not to drink and drive, how it is an epidemic, how it affects our society, and how I was able to let you guys know some solutions on how you could solve this.